Marriage? I don't know. The delusion that one woman differs from another. Okay, relax. I was being facetious. But what I've said about marriage in the past is still what I generally believe. The fact that I turned the volume up to make my point is similar to what a comedian might do to sort of elucidate his point through comedy, satire, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I thought it might be a useful exercise to answer some questions and spotlight some insightful comments under my videos, particularly under the most recent videos. And the most recent one that seemed to have stirred the pot more than others is, no surprise, my video Sell Marriage to Me. And it seems to be a common thread. Whenever you challenge a traditional concept or a long-standing philosophy like a religion or a social contract or construct, you will get a lot of discussion, a lot of people sort of defending their dogma. Now, in my video, as in most of them, I always tend to preface and let you know that I'm the odd one out that never wanted children and never wanted the role of a father and a protector and a provider for others and offspring and to slot into that pigeonhole of a role. For good or bad, and you could argue about the good of the species and I'm being selfish and all of that stuff, but I think I've elucidated my quite self-centered defense in that regard. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I want to be left alone and out of that environment. I want my life to be my own. If I'm not willing to do it, then I don't think anyone should force me. It's as simple as that. Now, sure, in the video, I was being satirical and I turned the volume up, but it's amazing to me that when you have a sound and strong argument of your own, I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying I have a strong and sound argument of my own, the knives come out. Like this one. If you like being old, bald, skinny, white, and alone until you're desperate, then cool. Marriage is nice when you don't let the state interfere. Keep it under God. It's a sacrament. So what you're saying is, if I was married, if I was a traditional person, I wouldn't get old. I wouldn't be bald. I wouldn't be skinny. I don't think I'm skinny anyway. I wouldn't be white. And I wouldn't be alone. I can't remember, there was a commenter a while ago under another video I did about my views on marriage, and he made a brilliant comment regarding this notion where you should be fearful of dying alone. He said, last time I checked, coffins were only made for one person. And I think this plays into people's fear of mortality. But aside from the shaming, which is when people like this, all they can do is shame the way I look, shame all of the superficial around me, whether it's valid or not, and not once try to offer a counterpoint. And this whole keep it under God, it's a sacrament, it's really pious to disparage one of God's children, apparently, by putting them down because you don't agree with me. Look, I've said it before, do what you want, but you'll be responsible for the consequences of it. I'm not telling anyone to stop doing what they want to do. Just have your eyes open before you make your decisions. I think that's the mature adult thing to do. I'm sorry, but blind nebulous faith isn't something I can comfortably subscribe to. Or how about this one? I see a trend in this MGTOW ideology. None of them have experienced true love without compromise and mutual selflessness, and they never will. Love without compromise? It's irrational. I still remember a valuable life lesson my mother gave me when I was very young, and she said there is no compromise. There's only give and take. If, for instance, I want a blue car and she wants a pink car, you don't compromise and get a green car. No one's better off, no one benefits, both of you lose. Both of you are frustrated. The point is, who's the car for? If the car is for her, I can suggest, I can help. But in the end, the decision is hers. There is no compromise. There's give and take and being sensible and rational given what the decision is about. He continues, love is the white whale they cannot experience because of narcissism and arrogance. No, it's not because of narcissism or arrogance. I don't want to dominate a woman, and I'm not arrogant over her. If she wants to make me do things that I don't want to do, no thank you. But I'm not going to force her to do anything that she doesn't want to do either. Basically, it needs to be a mutual give and take. If you've got any self-respect, you won't be pushed beyond your boundaries and your limits. It's as simple as that. It's nothing to do with narcissism or arrogance. Don't focus on the bad chicks. Focus on preparing yourself for the opportunity to find a real connection with a woman who deserves you. Okay, all I'll say is, guys in middle age and past, like myself, we tried when we were horny as teenagers all the way till middle age. How many times do you go through the same cycle with vastly different women, different personalities, different upbringings, different races, only to find that they're all cut from the same cloth? They want the same things, they expect the same things, they're entitled about the same things. Namely, you're expected to do a lot and they're just expected to spread their legs and you to be happy with them just being there. I didn't like the fact that I was contributing $100 and she was contributing $5, and somehow I should be grateful, and I was still not doing enough and I had to keep trying more and earning $110, $150, $130. Meanwhile, her stock was dropping, but I had to pretend to have those rose-colored glasses. Basically, I don't like the unfairness of it, especially today when the veil's been lifted and women have become so callous, rude, and hateful of men. I mean, I don't hate women, I'm indifferent to them. They can do whatever they want, but my life is not a doormat. Either it's mutual, either it's symbiotic, or it is what it is today increasingly, women and men going their own way. But the difference is, I think, men are choosing to, of their own volition. And another thing, I mean, you try being the nice guy when you're younger. You try being the arsehole and you feel like a fraud. You try putting on this mask to get women. You try doing this. You try doing that. Whatever you do, even if it works for a short time, she changes. And if you don't change with her, it's over again. So as you get older, you're just tired of playing musical chairs and guessing games and recycling back to zero with effectively another female archetype with a different paint job. And listen, you traditionalists and people who don't understand the thinking behind going your own way, when you just tire of the game, it's not about hating anybody. It's just about the bloom has faded from the particular youthful rose of sex, procreation, and chasing the opposite sex. I can't remember the exact saying, but I remember reading somewhere that something happens, particularly to men, after middle age when their testosterone starts to drop. They've played with the same simple puzzle of women over and over again for a few decades. And after a while, it's just no more fun playing the same puzzle over and over again, especially as within MGTOW. It's like finding out how a magic trick works. How, after middle age, when your attention moves away from women and onto the world and onto yourself in relation to the world, how can you actually pretend to care about chasing women and be adrenalized with sex as your priority when you quite honestly aren't? When you put your head down on your pillow at night, you can't lie to yourself that your top priorities in life are women, 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 as they were when you were a teenager or in your 20s. Just as when you lay your head down on your pillow, You can't pretend you're happy if in fact you're not. How do you reconcile that when you're just not interested? You may as well ask me to be interested in riding tricycles and playing tag and building tree forts the way I used to when I was a child. I can go through the motions, but I can't honestly give a shit. Moving on. Men are the long runner, while women sprint because they are on the clock. So in their desperation, they have high expectations. Good analogy. Really good analogy. I have nothing to add. Or this one. At several stages I have considered marriage again, but deep down inside my experiences with my first marriage, it forced me to consider the freedom I was giving up. Exactly so. And this is all I try to elucidate and describe to you guys. When that comes into focus, when you value your freedom and when you're asked to give up a little or a hell of a lot or all of it for a woman or a job or any part of your life, if you recognize and value your freedom, it's only natural that you go, hang on a minute, this is an unfair deal. No. Of course, if the pull to have children is so great that you'll pay any cost, what can I tell you? You'll have to make the decision of how much of your life, and some people give up almost all, if not all of their life just for children. They don't care about the consequences. Moving on. Marriage or mirage? What's the difference? Okay. I won't sell you marriage, but you can have mine for free. No thanks. And this is the thing, and this is what I was talking about in my Sell Marriage to Me video. I talk to married guys that aren't my friends, and invariably across the board, almost without exception, it's only varying in degrees. They tell me they love their kids and their family, but it's this low-level either comfort or resignation, or this is just the way life is and I'm making the best of it. They have a glass half full attitude, but it's like someone who's no longer able to play a sport because of an injury, and they're fine now. They've gotten on with their lives. And that's the thing I was talking about. I can point to a lot of things I have the freedom to do, and I can absolutely do whatever I like. The only thing I'm not free to do is avoid death coming over the horizon. But aside from that, I can make any decision I want. I can, as I recently did, get on a plane and take a holiday overseas. Or as I did about 3 years ago, I just quit my job and took almost a year off work because I wanted to change my life for the better, which I did. Imagine trying to even broach that subject with Pumpkin, who you're married to, while you have 3 children and they're relying on you. There's no chance. It's your autonomy that I question. And look, autonomy is more important to me than many, if not most of you guys. I understand that, and I'm not saying either of us are right or wrong. It's a personal choice. I think your problem isn't that marriage has become toxic, but rather you never felt the need to have children of your own to begin with, which is fine, but I feel like you never had a stake to begin with. Stake in it, I'm assuming, to begin with. This is true, and I've been quite open about that. But what I've said about marriage, in my defense, I think still holds water for the values that I'm describing. I want nothing more than to have my own little boy or girl and have spent my youth working hard for it. And now at 26, now I am disgusted at the current state of affairs. God be damned if I doom a child to a life of broken family or let the modern woman take me to the cleaners like my father before me. See, this is the thing. I understand this. Your father got taken to the cleaners. You're facing being taken to the cleaners, but you still have that pull, that drive. I understand it. I do. I can appreciate it. Okay, I can appreciate it even if I can't understand it. But what sort of... I say annoys me, to put it mildly, is a person can't see it from my point of view, even when I try and describe it just quite calmly and quite rationally. You should ask really old couples to see if it was worth it. That was a different time, though. If I'd been living over a century ago, I would still value my autonomy, but the risk of having my life ruined, or my woman nagging me to death or making my life hell, I'd be able to mitigate. I would be able to defend my freedom and autonomy even within a marriage and actually keep my autonomy and freedom, and there would be nothing she could do about it. Not so today. We're living in different times. There's no point. Ask a really old couple? What's the point of that? It's like saying, ask the dodo bird how wonderful it was living their life back before they were extinct. I don't have children, but I think it's a bit narcissistic to say married men had 5% happiness while you have 95%. I was being sarcastic. I was turning the volume up on my point. You see, it's all well and good for married people and traditionalists out there to poke fun at the minority of people like me and say, why aren't you married? Living in the basement, can't get a girl, can't get laid. What's wrong with you? You're weird, you're odd. And you have to just be quiet and turn the other cheek and change the subject. My video, Sell Marriage to Me, was flipping it on its head and being sarcastic back towards them. My video was poking them. So forgive me if your side can't take a joke for once. I've been taking a joke for a long time, being asked at birthdays and barbecues. So where's the girlfriend? Where's the wife? Do you have children? Why not? Really? Raised eyebrows. So, by the way, I literally have seen a UFO. It was not shiny or old, blah, 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 blah. Fucking living shit. Scared the living fucking shit out of me. This was in relation to me in that previous video making the analogy in terms of marriage. Married people telling me how great and wonderful marriage is without providing proof, and that it was like someone who'd seen a UFO trying to describe how real it was, but not having any proof. Yeah, I've actually seen 2 UFOs in my life. One when I think I was under the, just before I was 10 years old, and another one, I think when I was about 32. Twice in my life, and I'm in my 40s. That's pretty rare. As rare as a happy marriage. Here are some general comments that I thought bared repeating. Perfection does not exist because there can be no growth in perfection. Very, very true. This was something I had to learn when I got comfortable in my home, building my little fortress. I came to realize that I could not grow, get better even in my hobbies, and improve in various aspects if I didn't change and embrace aspects of change. I was far too inert. And to that comment of there is no perfection because there can be no growth if everything's perfect. Mountain MGTOW, which I'm sure you won't mind me mentioning his name, said exactly why women do not grow. They believe they are perfect. And this is also what feminism tells them. This is also why it is so destructive. It tells them they are beautiful and perfect and don't need to work on themselves. That deserves an applause. That's a really great paragraph. Reread that. Nice comment. Or this one. And this next comment is one I want to direct to people who keep sort of telling me I'm not going my own way because I date or I have a girlfriend. The comment is this: learn to build your life around yourself and your needs, even if you have somebody in your life. And if you have a mate that wants to ride on your train, make sure she understands that she is just a passenger on your train. If she wants to get off at the next stop, let her go and continue on your destiny. That is brilliant. And that description is exactly why guys that have their eyes open can mitigate as much risks as they can in terms of being taken to the cleaners and their limits of safety. So I'm not getting married. I'm not having children. I'm not sharing bank accounts, finances, and I'm not living under the same roof as another woman. But it's something I always found strange, that some people think that going your own way is being a monk and that's it, which there's nothing wrong with doing that. And the other extreme is being married with 3 kids, a mortgage, a couple of cars, speedboat, jet skis, dogs, and credit card debts. These absolutists don't take into account the middle. They just take into account the extremes. And life, the answers to life isn't picking these extreme Archimedean points. Life is always changing. And if you know yourself, you can pick and choose and be conscious of the risks you're willing to take with your eyes open in that area between the extremes. And trying to kind of live perfectly at either one extreme or the other. Look, some of you, I could be wrong. But from what I see and hear, I don't know. You're free to do as you wish, you know. I mean, who's to say that I don't go monk in the future? But what I'm saying is the rational information within going your own way and the philosophy and the information we share is the only thing that matters that you integrate into your life. That is it. What you are as an archetype and what mask you wear anywhere along the spectrum, I couldn't give 2 shits about. It's about you being the best person you can be in your life and being consciously proud and feeling good about your life and mitigating the fucking fear and the lack of control you may be feeling. Get the control back. Get contentment back. Be happier. And get rid of fucking fear. That's what it's all about. And a comment, I think it was about my male self-loathing video about minimalism. The comment was, I believe that one of the main reasons men are affected by self-loathing so much is because they have the buck stops here mindset that is not as common in women. This is a good observation. This lines up with the phenomenon of feminism and the high male suicide rates. Men tend to turn inward with blame, and women tend to turn outward with blame. Feminism is the ultimate manifestation of this. This highlight, men turn inward with blame and women turn outward with blame. That is probably one of the clearest statements in terms of why men feel such shame, because the buck literally stops with them and they feel guilty when things haven't gone right and they think they're responsible, i.e. the head of the household. Whereas women feel no guilt because they're never responsible. Why should they feel guilty when they were never responsible? And they know they're never responsible because they never take responsibility. They, women, have to view you as utilities in order for them to exercise their cornerstone of their survival strategy, manipulation. If they viewed men as humans, it would hamper their ability to control you for status, resources, and security in those resources. Another brilliant statement. And I wanted to really read out some of these really great statements from you guys that I could not have said better myself, and I haven't heard elucidated in such a concise and sharp way. Really, thank you. Keep those thoughtful comments coming in the comment section. You know, I watch other MGTOW channels from time to time, and, you know, I'll read the comments in their comment sections, and I'm really grateful to you guys and the thoughtful subscribers and audience and commenters in my comment sections. You guys really make me think a lot more and expand my conceptual thinking on a lot of these matters. When you guys do some nice heavy lifting mentally in the comment section, it makes me want to keep up. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, to stand up for yourself, gentlemen, you have to first think for yourself. Later. If you appreciate my content and want to say thanks, you can donate to me via the links below. Thank you to the recent donations of people on screen now. You guys are the best. I really, really appreciate your donations. It keeps me making more videos. And let me know if you'd rather not have your name shown on screen when I say thanks. And finally, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified of my next video. If you're still not being notified of my videos, I've outlined some steps in the low bar. Thank you.